What's good with y'all? It's Germ Zion, and I was chilling the other day, and I thought about a concept that I didn't really think gets talked about much. But I discovered this is how the hood took away my expression. So growing up as a kid, you know, I was raised to be very articulate. I was in a lot of books, and as I transferred over to a different schooling, what we would call the hood, that's when everything changed for me. Mom had to switch around some addresses, whatever, because she wanted me to go to a better school at the time, you know? And at this school, I was the minority, you know? I'll go straight to that. I was the minority. So due to that, you know, I had a different type of education set up. People that I was just speaking very proper English, ready to go. I was reading a lot, very articulate from a young age. And that's how that started. But I would come back to my neighborhood and it's a little bit of a switch up. Now, mind you, during this switch up, I started to notice a change. I started to notice a change in a different language. You know, I would say it like that. It's like speaking Spanish, German, any other language. I started speaking Ebonics. You know what I'm saying? It's the hood dialect. That's really what it is. Ebonics is dang near the hood dialect. And as I switched over going into middle school, I got switched over to the actual school that was in my neighborhood. So it was a hood school, if you will. And during this time, I'm coming with this whole different type of, or like I'm coming in with collared shirts. I'm coming in, you know what I'm saying, cardigans. And I'm Jeremy, how are you doing? Like, I was very proper. And I had no feelings about that. Because I came that way, at first, I was looked at as a square. And now, if you from the hood, you know what a square is. Shoot, even if you're not, I'm pretty sure you heard it in pop culture, media, whatever, you know what a square is. So people looking at me like, who is this dude? Like, it's square, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And what happened to happen is I got tried, because that's what they do in the hood. Like, when you come a certain way and, you know, they sniff you out, they gonna try you. And so I got tried plenty of times, which also led to fights, which also led to me gaining my respect through winning majority of those fights. And that's where I got my respect at, where they started to test like, okay, well, he's not green, if you will, you know, which is cool and all. But at the same time, as I do this, I'm like, well, I'm not trying to keep fighting because how I move and how I talk. So what happens? Because it's now my everyday life and now these are my everyday friends, I'm adapting to talk like this. Where now this becomes talking smooth, like this is talking regular to me. It became indoctrinated into me because this is my environment. I learned a different version of communication, a different language. And I started to realize that at the time, this language felt cool. It felt natural. And at the time, it felt a version of expressive. But I don't think that's what it is. So slowly, I started to realize now in the stage of my life that the hood took away my direct communication. And you guys know, I feel like when you're from the hood, you know what I'm talking about. You're learning that you don't get to say exactly what you mean, but you get to speak in a gray area. Instead of saying, hey, I don't agree with you, it becomes like, hey, yo, you know, I feel you, but rah-da-da-da-da, you know? Or it becomes, instead of something that, you know, somebody might say that hurt me or made me feel some type of way, I say, you know, it's whatever, and just shrug it off. And then instead of, I need help, I never spoke on when I needed help, because that was seen as a weakness. It was a thing of, you know, what you mean you need, I got this all on my own. And slowly I started to realize that this is where gray area communication is. And I get it, because when you think about the hood, you think about survival. Sometimes you think about the hood, what do you automatically think of? You think of where the drugs getting dealt. You know what I'm saying? Keep it 1,000. And what happens in the drug world? You know, a lot of things is spoken in code. You don't want to say directly what you need, what you're doing. So you're figuring out all these ways and all these different verbiages to make it a hidden underworld passage of communication. And so as you're learning that, you start learning like, okay, I don't want people to really know what I mean, but instead just think and stay in this confused area of what they think I'm getting at. And so as that kept going upon, I started to realize, one, I was, definitely I was maybe reading a little bit less here and there, and then also just functioning more within the streets, like learning more about it, indulging in it, if you will. And that became a part of my everyday life. And so I started to realize something the other day as I've transferred, to the global world, and had to readapt and reclaim some of those traits of my earlier self for how my parents wanted to set me up, for success in a lot of ways. I noticed that because I grew up in those major growing parts of my life, those major growing ages, if you will, of my life, that it held me back to where I'm at now. And I'm gonna say it held me back because growing up, I learned saying exactly what you mean wasn't always the safest route. Sometimes it was misunderstood, it was challenged, and it would put people against you. So instead of having clarity in your speech, you learn code. Learn that the hood is about people assume instead of ask. They don't look to go deeper. They don't look for details. The tone a lot of time matters more than your words. So you can't speak directly because then it feels like a threat. That's why a lot of people in the hood sometimes have a problem with authority, because it's like when a certain tone, an authoritative tone speaks up, it feels like disrespect. Like, what you trying to do? Tell me what to do. Like, it just becomes very 0 to 100. So this is when I saw that it gets deeper. When people from the hood step into global spaces, I'm talking corporate rooms, creative industries, I'm talking leadership spaces, even international cultures, that coded communication does not translate. And when you step into this world, you start to become discouraged because people don't understand you. Not only that, you start to realize you may not be able to articulate what it is that you're actually thinking. So people might take you as a little bit slower, or they might take you as dumb, if you will. You're not dumb at all. You might be very intellectual. But the thing is, translating to this global world, you don't know how to express yourself because you've been so used to speaking in code. This world that we live in, it runs on direct language, clear expectations, and explicit boundaries. But hood communications, it relies on reading in between the lines. It's never a straightforward answer. So what happens is, people from the hood, we might be seen as unclear. We might be misinterpreted and deemed as passive or aggressive. And also a lot of times we can get overlooked due to this because the brilliance isn't explicitly stated. You can't fully articulate what you are thinking. And so it's mistaken for lack of brilliance, lack of intelligence, And people don't know that. It's just you come from an environment where it is a different communication system. That's all what it is. So now when you don't learn to switch or expand your communication style, the world does not slow down and try to figure out what you mean. Because in that moment, when you're in a global expanse, you're not that important in that moment. They're looking at you as just another being on the street. They don't know your background. They don't care about your background. You're coming to, whether that's serve a purpose in this workspace or build this creative project, or even deal with the relationship of somebody who doesn't come from that and doesn't understand you. They will not decode you. They don't care. So that's a quiet barrier that no one prepares you for coming from the hood and stepping into the broader world. So now, let's talk about the growth. How can you grow from this? What do you notice? And let's not reject this, if this does hit hard. I'll say for me, growth looked a lot like learning what to say and saying what I mean. Learning what to say is the part of going into my head and, actually starting to discover those hidden emotions, those hidden feelings, those hidden thoughts that I'll be deemed as like, hey, is it dumb if I ask this question? A lot of times there is no dumb question. But sometimes when you're in your own head, you might feel like if you're in this new echelon, you're in these new environments, you might feel like, dang, if I ask this, I'm around a bunch of people that are already ahead and they all know this. So I shouldn't ask this because they're going to see me as dumb. Nah. I have to start picking that and beating my head and beating my own brain and my mind to realize that I'm opening up to new environments and I must allow myself to adjust as such. So a part of that is knowing that direct communication isn't disrespectful. A lot of times in the hood, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people get very emotional. If you do speak, so it's, always, you feel me, you talking around the topic. You're not talking directly. And I just want to let you know it's not weak, it's not too much, it's actually very liberating. Being able to speak directly on what it is I feel, being able to speak directly when somebody crosses my boundary, being able to ask the questions that I thought was dumb because it assisted me to receive a plethora of knowledge that I would have never indulged in if I never opened up and asked that question. Also learning how to articulate, what I actually think and continuing to keep my intuition, still be able to read energy. But now I've added in a vast book of new vernacular that I can use to guide me and guide others and direct them exactly to where my intentions and expectations lay. So, in rooms you're trying to enter with people who don't share your background, in spaces where your voice matters, this is something that you're gonna have to acknowledge, that no one is beating you up, no one is not trying to understand you, you may just be misunderstood. So, wrapping this up, I don't think the hood necessarily broke communication. I just think it was a time and place to use that communication for survival purposes. Because I'll be honest, in my experience, as I entered, when I would articulate my words or use broader vocabulary, I would get tried. Because for some reason in the hood, the intelligent person, the person who can speak articulately, they have to get tried. Because now it seems like, but you're not tough. You in my space and you're not tough. And for some reason in the hood, toughness is the biggest, that's the most valuable thing you can have. So what'd that lead me to? Having to fight, having to defend myself, having to be put in that area to where you're gonna respect me. And sadly, that respect couldn't come from somebody being curious about my intellect. That intellect was more something that was seen as offensive. So let me get him to somewhere where we can equal the playing field. Now, sadly, when those people would fight me, for them, it ended in a place to where I could still be myself. So, crossing those barriers and passing those, what we call maybe shit tests, there had to become a respect upon me because, okay, I can function and move and yeah, I'm speaking like this, but then, when it articulates itself, I'm kind of confused. I don't think he from around here, so we got to test that gangster. And that's okay, because that taught me another thing. It taught me how to, dig in and bring that, natural beast of a man side of me, which is good, but that's also not valuable in the global free world, So moving forward, if you're growing, if you're evolving, if you're stepping into bigger spaces, your communication has to grow with you. You cannot speak the same in the same place because you're not in the same places. They're not gonna get it, and that's okay. That's also not you submitting yourself as lesser than to learn that there's a global language that you must learn to speak and adhere to be able to assist you in your growth. So now you should know that also clarity is power, expression is freedom. Being able to go into yourself, discover what it is that you feel, and be able to articulate that to others is huge. It's huge in your growth process, because also now people can learn how to treat you. Nobody can go in and, because in the hood, a lot of things is assumption. A lot of things is this street code that's like this invisible Bible. That's like, you go by these rules, and if you cross this line, you cross this boundary, it deserves these consequences. It doesn't work like that. You must articulate with other humans on how you feel to be able to, for them to have a understanding on where you stand at. Then you also has to be able to receive and be able to sit back and listen and hear their end to an extent. And just learning to speak full, you know, being able to not speak in that gray area and speak directly to people will assist you. And it might be one of the most important upgrades you have ever made in your life. So for me, this is how the hood, you know, changed my version of communication, and I've now moved on, and it's a great chapter to close. It's a great, you know, thing to know that I can function in the hood, but let's be honest, not a lot of people really want to stay in the hood. Everybody really wants to go out and go other places. So it's a great thing to know that once you step in those new spaces, that this is a part of your journey, and I hope that you grow with it. This has been Jerm Zion, you know, peace.